Welcome to Liberal Banter with Liz and Olu. This week is a special episode because we're talking about the 2024 presidential election electoral college map. So as you know, in the U.S., we don't just pick a president based on the popular vote because we are special, and we have the electoral college. So we thought we'd go through some of the map, not all 50 states, just the swing states. And because we know there are states like California or, Oklahoma that we know who's going to win, we're going to go through the swing states and make our personal picks for who we think should win and how we think the election is going to go. This is not election advice. This is just our opinion on what's going to happen. Do with it what you will. But thank you for joining us for this special episode. To start, we're just going to list out the swing states we're looking at today. So again, there are states that are pretty obvious who's going to win, like a New York or Indiana. The swing states we're looking at are Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, and Nevada. And we're going to be moving from east to west. So first state up that we're going to make our selection for is Pennsylvania. Olu, what is your pick? Who do you think is going to win Pennsylvania in the upcoming election?
Unfortunately, I think Trump is going to win.
What? No. Oh my gosh. Already off to a terrible start here. Why? Tell me your reason.
Okay, so this is probably my own bias, but I think that Joe Biden was able to win Pennsylvania because he is a white man who is able to appeal to middle America white men, right? And I don't think the minorities in Pennsylvania are enough to drive Kamala Harris up. So unfortunately, I think that state is going to go to someone like Trump, but that's just me.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm going to disagree with what seems like your assessment that only minorities are going to vote for Kamala Harris. I do think the cities in Pennsylvania, your Philadelphia's, your Pittsburgh, is going to be enough. And I actually gave that to Kamala Harris. I think with a really solid ground game, if they can get people out, they can get everyone's favorite governor, Josh Shapiro, out. They can drum up enough support in the more concentrated, more populated parts of the state and get around some of this concern that you're experiencing. So I actually gave it to the Democrats. But I'm really sad you think they're going to lose Pennsylvania. I thought that was the ones we would agree on. I thought it was one of the ones we would agree on.
Maybe if the governor was a VP pick, I would have been a little bit more confident. The Barack Obama and in 2008 and 2012 took Pennsylvania, right? But I don't think that Kamala Harris is going to be able to replicate that. I think that it's more likely that it's going to be similar to the Hillary Clinton situation. And whatever people want to say, oh, Hillary Clinton should have campaigned more, I don't think that that's the case. I do think that there is a big gender handicap and a big racial handicap here. But that's just me.
Okay. Well, agree to disagree. I will say they are doing their best. Nobody's going to say they didn't campaign there. And we hope it works out. But okay, I guess I will agree to disagree. I will give Pennsylvania to the Democrats. You will give Pennsylvania to the Republicans because you are a hater. Next state, North Carolina. I can go first and say that I gave this to Trump. I'm just wary of some of any southern states out of Virginia. I always side eye. Even Georgia, I will be side eyeing later, but I always just side eye because I do think for some of these states, that's just how they operate. It's just the turnout might not be enough amongst people who are liberal leaning. This is a state that has recently made some voter ID law changes to make it more difficult to vote. And I just think that it might actually work for Republicans. And so I had North Carolina going to Trump.
I agree. Barack Obama didn't win North Carolina in 2008, and that was the height of the biggest wave of, motivation that the Democratic Party has ever been able to achieve in the last 2 decades. Joe Biden lost North Carolina, so I also don't expect Kamala Harris to win this one.
Yeah, it does seem like the Democrats are spending time and money there. And I do think there may be some congressional seats that might go a certain way. It might go towards Democrats. I'm hopeful at least. But as a state, yeah, I also don't think they're going to win. Okay, so we agree on that. Next is the greatest state of Georgia, home to everyone's favorite city, Atlanta. Thoughts on who's going to win that state?
I think Kamala Harris will win Georgia. I think the minorities in Georgia are actually powerful enough to overcome some of the ridiculousness from Governor Kemp. They have 2 Democratic senators, so it does seem like that state has a more equal balance of power. And more importantly, I feel like the Republicans in Georgia who are for Governor Kemp actually don't like Trump. So I think that is a state where there might actually be enough contempt for Trump on the otherwise independent or Republican side who might decide to stay home and then give the Kamala Harris voters an edge.
Yeah, I do. I think there may be some of that happening in Georgia, but I also feel like even if Harris wins, so I had Harris winning Georgia as well, it will be very, very close, like recount close. It's going to be, it's literally going to come down to how many people were able to make it to the polls, before the 8-hour line closed. Right. And did you bring your own supplies? Because I'm pretty sure Georgia is one of those states where you're no longer allowed to give snacks or water in the line. Was the weather good in your district? And did people say, you know what, I'm just going to stay home because I don't want to vote for Trump and it's cold outside? There's going to be so many little things that go into it. And I think it's going to be a very, 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 very close race. But I do think, I agree, I think she will win Georgia, and it's probably going to be because of Atlanta and the suburbs. Yeah. That's exactly. Going to be it.
I think it's Fulton County in Georgia. Those voters, they've been through this a lot now. They are well practiced, and they know what's going on, and that's why the Trump campaign tried to intimidate them in 2020, right? That's why they scapegoated those 2 women from Fulton County. So at this point, I think the Democratic voters in Georgia, they know the assignment, they know what to do.
They understand the assignment. Yes, agreed. ATL knows what's up, and they know what they're doing. Okay.
Shout out to ATL.
Indeed. Down to the A. They know what they're doing. Okay, so right now I will say my count for states is, for electoral college votes, is 261 Harris, 235 Trump. So we're done with the East Coast. So that means my candidate is 9 votes away. Yours is a little further away. Okay, so Michigan. We're going to the Midwest now. Michigan. Who's your pick?
No, I think Michigan is Democratic. I think this is going to Kamala Harris. I think Gretchen Whitmer is a good representative for the state in terms of a powerful Democratic governor who is actually fairly well liked. So I think despite some of the rumblings, especially from the Palestinian Americans in Dearborn, Michigan, I think overall the state is going to go Democratic.
Yeah, I agree. I think so as well. I think Michigan is, I really hesitate to say solidly blue this election because that's such a strong claim. But I do think it is blue enough and it will go to Kamala Harris in the election. I think the Michigan Democrats may have some friction because there is a very large Muslim American population in some of the cities like Dearborn, Michigan, and obviously a lot of people are not happy with what's going on in the Middle East. So that is a consideration, and I do think, I mean, I assume the Harris campaign knows this, but I do think there is some work to be done there to bring people back in and encourage them to vote in November. But I also am optimistic that people recognize enough that there are only two options in this election. However you feel about that, that's the case. And you're more likely to get further with the Democrats if you are concerned about how things are going in the Middle East. And so I hope we can move past that. So that is a concern for me, but I will still say I'm going to give Michigan to the Democrats, which is good because that puts my electoral college map at 276 for Democrats. So yay, congratulations, President Harris. I'm done. You're the one who still has to keep going.
Well, so far I have 257 for Democrats and 254 for Republicans, but I think actually no, the next one I'm still not convinced. But
no,
sure,
Wisconsin. What? What do you have for? Okay. Who's your pick for Wisconsin? Then let's move on to Wisconsin.
Okay, so this is the problem that I have, right? And maybe I have a hangover from the Hillary Clinton days. Again, that keeps coming up, right?
Yes, it does. Not just for you.
Like my system has been looking at like what Barack Obama won, what Hillary Clinton won, and what Joe Biden won, and trying to come up with like a law of averages there. And I think that, again, Barack Obama had hope he changes stuff, so he was able to keep Wisconsin. I think that, Joe Biden, again, was able to appeal to that, like working voter class. And so I worry that Kamala may not be able to appeal to those people. And Wisconsin is, very Caucasian. So
hey,
again,
they had white people supporting Kamala Harris in all those Zoom calls. They're out there.
I know, but I mean, this is the problem, right? I feel like we put a lot of emphasis on how minorities are voting, and there's been a lot of scrutiny for Black voters. But at the end of the day, white voters still carry most of the voting power in this country. So I think it would be short-sighted for us to pretend that that's not the case.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Valid. Well, I do see your points about Wisconsin, and I think there might be similarities between the suburban or non-urban parts of Wisconsin and the suburban/not-urban parts of Pennsylvania. But unlike Pennsylvania, which has a massive, massive population center in Philadelphia and another massive one in Pittsburgh to sort of push it in a certain direction, I think Wisconsin, I don't think Milwaukee and Madison are going to be enough to carry the whole state. And so I actually had this going to Trump, although I would not be surprised if it was very close and there was a recount needed there as well. But I actually had that going to Trump. So I don't disagree. Sadly, I think it's going to be much closer in Wisconsin than maybe people expect. That was my pick. Yeah. Okay. So that my map now is at 276 still. So still President Harris, but Trump at 245. What's yours?
So mine is at 254 for Democrats and 264 for Republicans. But we haven't finished.
You're obviously some type of Hollywood scriptwriter because you're going to leave this down to the last two. So let's go down to the Southwest. Let's go to Arizona first. Second to last of the swing states. What's your pick for Arizona?
I think Arizona is now blue, in my opinion, just because we see trends outside of the presidency, like Kari Lake types have just been, swept out. Clearly not, Trump. The energy from there is also like, it's even more anti-Trump Republicans, even more than that the Georgia people have been. Like, even in their local elections, they've just been rejecting this Trumpism thing. So that's why I think it's going to Democrats.
Yeah, same. I also have the same vibe, and the other thing that helped me I gave Arizona to the Democrats, by the way, I should say that, but the other thing that made me give Arizona to the Democrats is because Arizona is one of a few states this election that actually has a ballot measure to protect the right to abortion that will be up on the ballot in November, and I think that is a good motivator for people to show up to vote. Which, again, turnout is always key in these states, in these swing states. And the more you can get your team, let's say, out, the better you'll do. And so there is a ballot measure in Arizona this November. If you didn't know, now you know, breaking news. There's a ballot measure. It's a citizen-initiated measure to try and protect the right to abortion in the state and basically amend the Arizona Constitution. And I think that's another one of those sort of voter issues that gets people up, gets people out, gets people, ready to vote. And so I think that will help bring out people. Now, that could also work in a different way. There might be a whole bunch of, quote unquote, pro-life people that are then also enthused and excited to come vote. But I think there will be enough Democratic voters showing up to give Arizona to Harris. And so I had that going to Harris.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, and then the last state. Wait, actually, hold on. Before we go to Nevada, what does that mean that Harris has won in your map? Now, are we still waiting for?
Very close. I have 269 versus 263.
Oh my gosh!
So,
okay,
very close.
The last one is Nevada. Nevada and its 6 electoral college votes. Yeah. What say you, Olu?
Yes, I am giving this to the Democrats as well.
Oh, thank goodness. Okay. Okay. Whew. Goodness. Okay.
30% of Nevadans are Hispanic, 10% African American. They've been swinging back and forth over the years, but overall they've been more blue than red. So I think that she could win this state as well. So I finally have 275 for the Democrats.
Wow.
Yay.
Okay. Okay. Well, I feel like happy.
Nobody's surprised that we have Democrats winning this electoral map.
No, at all. I think the difference, the question was by what margin. I also gave Nevada to the Democrats, and so on my map, I have the Democrats with 293 and the Republicans with 245.
Pennsylvania, that we disagree on.
I think that, and that's fair. I think that's probably going to be you might be closer than I am. I think I might be a little optimistic about Pennsylvania in a way that you're not, but overall, I think whatever happens, as long as we're over 270, that's all I care about. But I will also add on Nevada, they also have a ballot issue or potential ballot issue for abortion, which again, another motivator, another state that is trying to make that part of its constitution. So exactly. Another reason to get out there and vote if you live in Nevada or Arizona. It's not just those states, I should say. Florida also has a ballot measure coming up.
It's just that we've given up on Florida.
I think so as well. I remember there were some rumblings about Florida in 2020, right? And even Texas, the Democrats were feeling like, oh, maybe we should go down there a little, but no.
I know.
No.
It was all a dream.
It was all a delusion is what it was. Okay, so yeah, I got 293. You have 275. No surprises there. We think Democrats will win. And also that's obviously what we hope for. If we are wrong, these are just our guesses. If both of us are wrong and the Republicans win, then we'll see you all at the airport on our way to Canada. I'm kidding. I'm not leaving. I feel like I want to say that now and just put my, put my mark in the ground and just say I'm not moving if Trump wins. I'm staying here because it's not worth it for me. I don't know where else I'd live anyway. So
I mean, we just have to be here to change it, right? You just can't give up even if Trump wins. You just gotta dust yourself off and try again.
Oh my God.
We just can't handle.
We're quoting song lyrics.
Yeah, that's Aaliyah for people who don't know. But I mean, we can't just concede this country to the people who think like this, right? We cannot concede this country to people who allow 14-year-olds and people who've been charged with terroristic activities to buy guns later. We just have to keep fighting. Otherwise, it's gonna go to hell.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not leaving no matter who wins, but especially if Trump wins, I'm not leaving. I mean, there's going to be another election, we hope, in 2026. So, for the midterm. So there's always a chance to get it back, to get power back if enough people show up. And I think that's going to be the game in 2024. It's turnout. If you can turn out your voters, it will be a successful outing for you. But we will all be here and we'll see how it goes.
All right, that's all from us, folks. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share with your friends and family. Leave us a review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. It helps us to grow our audience, and we do enjoy hearing from you all. Thank you, and see you next time.